All right, again, welcome everybody. Dr. Brian Hawley here. Happy Friday afternoon. If you guys are working Saturday, I feel sorry for you. I have it off. I'm going swimming in the pool. We got our pool open at our house, so just wanted to say it's Friday for most of us. How's that? So this year, we're going to be talking about ethics, obviously. It was kind of fun putting together. My wife is a licensed massage therapist. She helped me put a lot of these slides in. We're going back and forth. We're going back over some of the things that we did wrong as a couple and as professional people, a doctor and a massage therapist. A little bit about me. I'm a practicing chiropractor. I went to medical school in basically another lifetime. Worked in hospitals, med surge, surgery, physical therapy, and got burnt out. Went on to chiropractic school, and over the years, we've owned multiple clinics. I've had clinics with other chiropractors in it, medical doctors, surgeons, nurse practitioners, oh gosh, massage therapists, a whole bunch of stuff. So now we recently relocated. I'm pushing middle age here, and I wanted to slow down a little bit and do more webinars. I have a blast doing these. So we sold off a lot of our clinics. I have one clinic now. It's just me. I see patients only 3 days a week. The other time, I normally do webinars, and I do them for medical doctors, physical therapists, and massage therapists. And I've got to be honest with you, the group that I have more fun, I can let my hair down, and well, not that I have long hair, but I can just kind of be myself, is with the massage therapist. Because you guys don't have egos, you're pretty cool to work with. So I correspond with a lot of you guys via the internet and in emails, and it really is fun. So a lot of you guys are new. You've never done a webinar with me before, so I welcome you. You'll find I don't take things too seriously. I like to have fun because I think that's when we learn, to be honest with you, when we have fun doing something. So how do you make ethics fun? It's like talking about sciatica in my other webinar. You're talking about a pain in the butt. How do you make it fun? Well, we managed to do it on some of them. So this one here, we put together some slides. And as I said, my wife and I were going over, we were laughing at some of the things. And I won't tell you all the stories that go along with the slides, but hang with us here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and click some things here, and we're going to move there. Housekeeping. Uh, Recordings. Let's go over some of the things that we've got to talk about first, because some of you guys have never done one of my webinars and you don't quite know how the system works. So, recordings. I'm the guy that normally comes in after I'm done with the live presentation. Give me some time to get the thing converted and then uploaded. And then I got to convert the PowerPoint. I'm going to convert it to a PDF, and I'll have that available for you guys to download for your notes. Now, I don't know why. I'm a doctor, not a computer guy. Sometimes I can get the conversion and upload within a couple hours. Other times you do the same format, the computer does not want to cooperate, or internet is slow. It can take all night or some of the next day. So I promise you, as soon as I can get this thing converted into a Windows Media file and upload it, I will, and I'll get it sent out to you, the link with the notes, okay? Also, if you want a certificate, the certificates, I do a little quiz, and they're really more of an attendance quiz, just kind of see if you're paying attention, you're kind of along here. I'll go ahead and get a quiz sent out along with the links. If you want a certificate showing that you attended to this and that you wanted to get the 1 CE or 1.5 CEs that go along with some of the webinars, not a problem. Go ahead and take the quiz, print it out, or just do it on your computer. Print it out and email it back to us, okay? And that's the email, info@clublmt. Normally my staff answer 90% of the emails because I'm with patients. They don't like me answering the emails because sometimes I get involved with like case studies and talking with you guys, and it's kind of cool. And they don't want me tied up doing that. They want me to see patients in the clinic. So every now and then they let me escape so I can answer some of the emails. So every now and then you guys will get an email from me, which is kind of cool because I like interacting. So the certificates, if you want your certificate, go ahead and send the test back. Answer them. It'll be multiple choice over what we're talking about. And believe me, it'll be simple. We're all adults. We're all professionals. We've taken enough tests in our life. We don't need to take any more hard ones, okay? Get it back. And when you do, tell me how you want your name to appear on the certificate. And my staff will get that, and I'll get it up on the certificate and get it right out to you. Normally within a couple days of the webinar or receiving the quiz, they'll get it out. Questions. I didn't think ethics would be a huge interest, but man, there's a lot of people on this webinar. There's a lot of people that signed up for it. So my webinars, I try to do them within an hour, hour and a half. So you can imagine if you have 50, 100, 150 people on these things, you can't go answering all questions. You'll never get your material in. So the email, info@clublmt.com, shoot an email. I'll kind of hang around. Well, I'll be hanging around for the next half hour or so to an hour, trying to get these things converted or in the process of working on those. I'll answer a lot of the questions, and that way it gives me time to think and give you a good response versus just an off-the-cuff response that I might get while we're in the middle of a webinar. Now, here's a legal disclosure and just kind of I'm throwing it out there to you, to be honest with you. This stuff here is based what we have found in our own clinic and my wife's own massage studio that she has. She has a massage studio that's adjacent to our clinic, and she has massage therapists that rent space from her, and I supply them patients. We have walk-ins. We have a lot of doctors referring and patients referring. She also has reflexologists, acupuncturists, a couple other ones in there as well, and we kind of compile a lot of these webinars based off what we see in our clinic and what we've dealt with. So again, that's the email, info@clublmt.com. So without further ado, I'm going to take a sip of the water and we're going to begin. Now, ethics. I didn't come up with all these definitions. I'm not that smart. Thank God for Google and Wikipedia, right? So ethics, it's the study of moral behavior. You know, we all have ethics. We all kind of know right from wrong, or we should, right? And we like to think that we're inherently good. And we got into helping people for the right reason, hopefully. Hopefully most of you guys did. And we try to do the right thing. So sometimes I like to believe everybody has the spark in them that is inherently good. And I try to see that in everybody. That's my gift as I'm getting older, is I try to look beyond the physical and see the spark. So with that in mind, I think ethics in a healthcare setting, we all need to try to find that spark or operate from that spark is what we need to do. Now, ethical codes and standards kind of translate into moral values, more of a guideline for daily living and interacting with the public and people, okay, especially with our clients. Now, normally these fall into two categories, professional and business. Side note, I've got a lot of emails stating that you guys want to know. This is I think it's a 1 or 1.5 hour webinar that we put together, credit webinar that we put together here. A lot of you guys said that you need a 2-hour credit thing or a 3-hour credit thing on ethics. Could I put together another one on ethics? So what I've done is I've left out the business ethics portion on this on purpose. So if I get enough of the people saying, yeah, we want one on business so we can get the other part, I'll put together a business ethics and we'll try to get it in this month. I have another webinar I wanted to do, but if we need to get a business ethics in so we can have a two credit or a 3 credit total, we'll do that. Just shoot me an email and let me know you want it, and I'll just make it happen. How's that? So the professional category is parameters of moral behavior for a particular profession, i.e. massage therapy. The business ethics, you know, that's normally with the commercial aspects, the e-commerce side of being in a practice or having your own clinic. You know, that gets into advertising legalities, fee splitting, fee structures, lease negotiations, hours of operations, non-compete and compete clauses, you know, things like that. That's the business ethics, okay? We're going to reserve that if you guys want another one. If there's enough of you guys, we'll put together another one on that, okay? Now, according to the ATMA, the principles of it. And I went onto the ATMA website, guys. I cheated here. You know, I copied verbatim, and I'm saying it so there's no copyright things here, and posted it for you guys. The principles of ethics is the first part of the code of ethics. They're basically aspirational. What you want to aspire to, the goal as a person, as a professional that you want to obtain on a daily basis within your practice, within your client, and a guideline for yourself, okay? Now, the rules, they are mandatory and direct specific standards that are minimally acceptable professional conduct for the members of the Massage Therapy Association. Now, what does that mean? The principles are the ones you want to aspire. You want to be a good person. You want to find that spark. You want to operate from that spark. You want to create that energy and the balance back and forth between client and professional. The rules are the ones that say, okay, when that bounce gets a little out in left field, there's a boundary line. We cannot cross that. Those are the rules. They're more black and white versus the gray ethical moral principles. Okay, so the rules, and on some of them, if you break them or you're found guilty of breaking them purposefully, or even in some cases not purposely, you can be subject to disciplinary action. Definitely getting kicked out of associations. You know, there's a lot of things. I don't want to put a negative cloud over this, but a lot of things can happen, okay, if you purposely break the rules. Now, some of the principles of the ATMA basically demonstrate commitment to provide the highest quality of massage therapy bodywork to those seek their advice or service. What does that mean? That means if you come in hungover from a Friday night, you're not going to do your best on a Saturday morning, okay? I don't care how good you think you are, you're not going to be able to do your best. So that is unethical, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. You also have to acknowledge your inherent worth and individuality of each person by not discriminating or being prejudiced with clients and colleagues. This is what I'm talking about, trying to find that inner spark, the inner glow that is in all of us. Start from there and work outward. Don't look at the color, creed, race, religion, or anything like that of the people. Don't classify them by if they pull up in a Cadillac versus a Yugo. Now, some of you older people on here know what a Yugo is, right? I even had one when I was younger. So that's what that's saying. Demonstrate excellence. There's a thing called in business called excellence and excellence in abundance or service excellence. Go above and beyond. Demonstrate professional excellence through regular self-assessment of strengths, limitations, and effectiveness by continuing hey, that's here, and training. In other words, you never stop learning. You guys that have been out for a while, you know this is where the real learning begins, to be honest with you. The school kind of gives you a basic guideline, but when you're out real world and running your own business, that's where you really learn. That's when the lessons really come. And you know as well as I do, medicine is advancing. We're learning new things, new techniques, new procedures, new rules and regulations about business is coming out. So that's what that means. Keep excellence through upgoing personal development. Now, side note, this really doesn't have to do with ethics. I'm a huge believer in personal development. Tony Robbins, Darren Hardy, Jim Rohn, personal development. Wayne Dyer, I love Wayne Dyer, Dr. Christine Northrup. Reading things like this for personal development and gaining self-worth is invaluable in life, let alone in a profession when you're trying to help others. Okay, so I always kind of put a plug for doing that. Take care of yourself, develop yourself on that as a side note. Acknowledge the confidential nature, right? You're not gonna. This isn't kiss and tell. Okay, so be professional and confidential of these things. Project a professional image. I went into a massage therapy studio, and I was met by the owner. The massage therapist, they had scrubs, or one of them had a scrub bottom with a blouse or a polo shirt, excuse me, that matched the scrubs with a little logo. Very professional. The owner was looked like a pair of gray. You guys know these old gray 1980s gym shorts that when you start running, the sweat comes out. And you see the sweat stains, they're baggy. She came out in that. She probably weighed 300 pounds, and I'm not saying anything about obesity, but it was that with a T-shirt. You could see the bright pink bra underneath, and hair all over the place. She was the owner of the spa. It turned me off totally, and the energy that she projected was actually hampering the growth of the business. The staff and the people in there couldn't keep up. They couldn't overcome that umbrella of negativity and unprofessionalism that she was projecting. Okay, so my wife and I went in to do an assessment, a business assessment, to help them find out what was wrong and see if we could help grow the business. So, always project a professional image. Okay, hold your head up high, guys. Accept responsibility, do no harm. Hippocratic oath. We took it as physicians. Okay, and what else we got here? The rules. Here's the rules. Those are the ones, the principles are what we're striving for. The rules now, black and white, you got to do things within the scope of your practice. Okay? Every state's different. Normally, we have a pretty good idea what we can do and what we can't do. Are you guys going to, I'm a chiropractor, are you guys going to start grabbing, twisting, popping, doing joint mobilizations, doing traction therapy, diagnosing, trying to order an x-ray film or looking at a film? I had one massage therapist, they had a view box in their office, and they were actually, I had two cases, two massage therapists, two different offices. Each one had a view box. View box is the thing you turn on, you look at x-rays, right? The old-fashioned x-rays. This was about 5 years ago, when they print them on plain film. One of them was actually looking at films. They requested their clients bring their films in from other doctors if they have them, and they wanted to go over them with the clients. Way out of scope, in my opinion, and in the most state boards and regulatory agencies. The other one, they would take, and I would refer them clients, and I would go over there on my afternoon or in between clients, and I would go over the films with them, especially my scoliotic patients. And we would put the film in the view box, or after a while of knowing the person, I would send the film over with a carrier, and I would go over the films of them on the phone so they could see which way the curve is going. Because on a scoliosis patient, on the concavity side, you're going to have a lot more taut muscle that you need to work a certain way, versus the convexity side. You'll have a different type of muscle reaction. And you can also pinpoint where trigger points are going to be in fascial release patterns. X-rays will help with that. So there's two different scenarios. Both had the same view box. In my opinion, one was right, one was wrong. And in the rules, one was right and one was wrong. Now, the one that was going over those did not go over the view box with their clients, the x-rays with the clients. That was for their own personal edification to know where and when and how to handle a consult. Now, you also got to be truthful in advertising and marketing. I will get rid of your headaches. I will relieve sciatic pain. Things like that you can't say because you don't know. I can't even say those as a doctor, that we treat conditions. We can't advertise that, okay? Refraining from using membership, logo, other property, blah, blah, blah. This has to do with the AMA, the last two. Just to give you an idea of the differences. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the next one, and I copied it. This is going to be in the notes. Don't make me read all this. But this is the codes from the NCBTMB. There's a lot of things that they have. This was adopted in 2007. If you guys are part of the NCBTMB, this is on their website even. So in this here, as I said, I provided the slide. This is part of it. There is the other part right here. That's continued. So there's a lot of codes that you shall have access to that'll give you a good guideline on what to do. Now, let's get in some of the fun stuff. Values. I mean, honestly, I'm a Marvel comic, DC comic guy, so Superman was the icon when I was growing up that held up to values and moral ethics, okay? So values are basically principles such as morals, honesty, compassion, being trustworthy, being accountable, that go toward provide meaning and direction to the profession. Ethics is designed to protect and enhance those values. Example, refusing a gift or a bribe that is intended to influence a referral from another party. Pharmaceutical reps do this all the time, right? Or decision of care or treatment that is purely for personal gain of the therapist and not for the overall well-being of the client at hand. In other words, if you do something like this that is in your best interest and not the client's, you're breaking the first cardinal rule. First, do no harm. Well, it doesn't have to do with physical harm alone, okay? Inalienable rights. I tried to find a good Minuteman, like the inalienable rights of years ago. It's our basic human rights here. Rights which are not capable of being surrendered or transferred without the consent of one possessing such rights. Example, right to privacy. Every client that comes in your or my office, we're almost in the same. We treat clients. They have a right to some form of privacy. For massage, they need to be covered. Draping, proper draping techniques, behind closed doors, no cameras, things like that. They have a right to privacy. They have a right to informed consent. IC means that they know what, how can I put this? They know what is going to happen when they get on your table. They know what areas you're going to treat. They know what kind of treatment and what style of treatment you're going to do, how long and how much. They know what's expected of them. They have been told this in advance so they can make an informed decision whether they want to move forward or stop in the treatment. Okay? They have a right to informed consent. What are you going to do to me? Why? How long? Will it hurt? Okay? They also have a right to confidentiality, meaning if they tell you something that they hurt their back doing something that they shouldn't have, or having sexual relationships, you don't go telling other people about it over the water cooler. What happened? Guess what happened to Mary last week? Right to confidentiality. Right to safety. You really should have your practice in an area where they're not going to have to wear a bulletproof vest to come see you. But I understand that's not an option for some. But the right to safety also has to do with hygiene. You need to keep it sanitary. Clean sheets. Clean your room. Sanitize the table before you put the sheets on. There's a number of things. Make sure the legs are fastened properly and that they're not going to fall. Okay, fix things that have the potential to do harm to you or the client. Those are the inalienable rights that should happen in every practice. Okay, that every person has a right to. Now, for personal ethical development, it's important to know your weaknesses as well as your strengths. Why is this important? You need to know how you relate with money, power, sexual relations. I'll tell you some stuff. There's some people out there that they were in an abusive relationship, not physical, but the husband or spouse will be gender neutral here. The spouse actually suppressed them. They went to school, got their degree, and they opened practice. Then all of a sudden they are put in a position of power where they are in direct control of the patient's or client's well-being and of their physical care. Sometimes they can abuse that power, be a dictatorship over that. Also, so know your strengths and your weaknesses before you even enter into the patient therapist relationship. Example, another one is money. If you have a long-term client that's coming in, but just say you got some bad news that your car just broke down, transmission shot, your kid needs braces, your dog got kicked, you're having a bad day, you need money, and you go in, you're trying to do a care plan for the patient, but you're in the back of your mind, Jimmy only needs to come in twice this month, but hey, if I can get him 3 times, that'll pay my car payment. It's unethical. Just be aware of the little angel devil on the shoulders. Know your strengths and weaknesses, okay, and be aware of them when they prop up and they override the ethics. Here's a case scenario. I read about this in one of the magazines, and I thought I would paraphrase. Therapist was approached by a client who wasn't in psychotherapy, but wanted to address her abuse issues through body work. Now, you guys that have been out there long enough know as you start working in the fascial tissue, research, well, first of all, research has shown interleukin-6, IL-6, is actually a protein that gets stored in the fascial tissue that has to do with beliefs, anger issues, past feelings, okay? IL-6, you can look it up. So this client wanted to come in and had heard that you can get rid of a lot of issues through body work, muscle therapy, massage. So that is why she wanted to come in. She didn't want to go into psychotherapy. She didn't want to lay on a couch. She wanted to do this. Now, the practitioner had very limited training in working with survivors, but wanted to assist the client because they felt compelled to in the healing process. In the course of their work together, the client began to have flashbacks during the treatments. Practitioners felt she would let the client fully experience these memories that would help with the healing process, and they would process them, what happened afterwards. Now, this went on for several weeks, several treatments. The flashbacks become not so much flashbacks, mental images. They were actually happening on buses and supermarkets, driving in the road. They're frequently upon entering the practitioner's office, okay? So this kind of got a little bit down the rabbit hole, Alice. Now, what happened? The end result? Practitioners' lack of training in this area resulted in the damaging situation for the client and ended up actually being a malpractice lawsuit against the practitioner. This case, even though it was done with good intent, this was beyond the practitioner's scope. Definitely out of the scope of practice, but practitioners don't understand the significance of the flashbacks and what they meant. You know, we're peeling back layers here like an onion, okay? They didn't know how to deal with them, didn't know what they mean. Did not realize the client needed psychotherapy and other support systems in place when they exhibited the flashback. There needed to be a support group. She lacked outside supervision, did not consult with a psychotherapist as a professional colleague when questions arose even. Harmful situation occurred because the practitioner did not understand recovery from abuse procedure stages, that our client was in a very early stage when they first entered the client-practitioner relationship. Therefore, the practitioner did not know what the client needed to proceed safely with the recovery. Okay, the client wasn't ready to deal with the past, okay? Boundaries and support systems are necessary for effective treatment were not adequately in place, okay? Broke the cardinal rule of do no harm, okay? Now, talking about the relationship, the client-therapist relationship. When does it begin? When does it end? Who can break the relationship? First, let's talk about a little bit in each one, okay? When does it begin? We're going to get right to that one because that's been a lot of confusion, okay? I want to talk about when does it end. It ends when the person has stopped coming to see you. My rule of thumb has to be 6 months or more of non-contact, either by phone, letter, or into your office on your table, okay? Who can break a relationship? Either party. I fired a patient last week. I fired the patient just because, I'm not a massage therapist, I'm a chiropractor. I fired the patient because they were rude to my staff, they were rude to the massage therapist, and they had the wrong energy when they came into my office. If you haven't figured it out, we're kind of a fun office. We have a light atmosphere. I didn't want a sour grape. I just told the person, I said, sir, God love you. I gave it a shot, but I just don't think we can help a person with your condition here in the office. Here is 5 other chiropractors in the area. Gave them a list with phone numbers. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss you from my care. And I'm kind of a big guy. I'm 220 pounds. Not too fat either. Didn't have much to say. I walked them out of the office and felt pretty good afterwards. And the staff felt good. The office lightened up. Then, of course, my wife comes in, and she has to break out the candles. She does a sage burning that evening in the office. She gets all crazy. Gets rid of the bad mojo. But, hey, it's okay to fire a person. She has dismissed clients. Other therapists that work with her have dismissed clients. They just get the heebie-jeebies from, or they feel it's out of their realm. It's okay because the bad energy, the bad mojo one client's bringing in, when you dismiss them, you're going to get two other ones that fit perfectly. Trust me, the universe works that way. Okay. Now, when does the relationship begin? Oh, first of all, when you break up, document, 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 document. Document the reasons why. Again, it could be patient did not fit with our style of practice. Patient disrupted the flow. Patient disrupted the energy in our practice. We're not conducive to us giving therapy or them getting the proper healing, whether it be physical, social, or emotional. We provided client with several other therapists in the area that would provide similar or like services. Client left happy. Boom, done. Okay, put it in a file. Now, when does it begin? This is kind of a controversy, and there's no really right or wrong on this. Here's what I've seen over the last almost 2 decades of me working with healthcare. Usually begins when a client is seeking care or a greater well-being through massage from a particular massage therapist. This starts on the first interaction of conversing with confidentiality of the client's wants and needs and the therapist responding to help. Does that mean if you bump into someone and say, hey, this is Sally, she's my therapist. Oh, hi, Sally, I'm Bob. Okay, nice meeting you. Bye. Did you establish a client-therapist relationship? In my professional opinion, no. This is a meet and greet. Hi. On the other hand, hi, Sally, this is Bob. He's a friend of mine. Oh, this is Brian. He's our chiropractor. He's our massage therapist. Really? Well, Brian, I got this and this and this. What kind of treatments do you do? Well, I do this. You're more than welcome to come in my office. Really, I have sciatica going down my leg. It started when I jumped off of a band stage at a rock concert a few years ago at a Jimmy Buffett concert. I had one of his margaritas, and it's been going down to my toes ever since. My doctor says it's this and this and this, something that you would be interested in dealing with. Well, first of all, that client, that person just disclosed personal information to you. And if you took the next step by responding, shaking your head, verbal cues, saying, yes, we look at not so much, we don't treat conditions, but I have had other people like that with like conditions coming in my office, come in and see me. You've kind of started a relationship, okay? Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean that, well, it means that not the relationship doesn't necessarily have to start when you first lay hands upon somebody. It can start with actual verbal stuff, the disclosing and talking about the client's needs and wants. You're actually starting a client therapist relationship. Same thing with a client doctor relationship. Okay. Also, on a side note, if you're out at the Jimmy Buffett concert and you see someone jump off and they come up to you and say, hey, you're a massage therapist, what do you think on this? Don't diagnose. Get them into your office, get them into a doctor, get them diagnosed, and you treat. No, don't offer services or advice out of your office unless the situation arises for life and death. Remember, clients will come into us, they'll commit to us in pain or lack of function and in need of help. By virtue of just showing up for the appointment, they become vulnerable to our care. There's an old saying that the healing occurs when the white coat walks into the room. That's a doctor saying. Now, they're hurting or needing relief. Whenever they're like that, they look up to you guys. They're catapulted into the authority. You are catapulted into the authoritative position. Even though you're not aware of it sometimes, you may be looked upon as a parent figure, a guide, a doctor figure in the client's eyes. It is your duty and responsibility to meet this with kindness, compassion, and utmost respect. Uncle Ben and Spider-Man said, come on, some of you guys are saying it right now. I can hear you. With great power comes greater responsibility, right? So even I'll tell you, I'll be honest, whenever I go over to talk about a patient of mine to one of the massage therapists, I look up to you guys. You're not below me. You're not below everybody. We're all on the same team. I look up to you guys for advice, for the muscle groups, for the origin insertions, different techniques that might help. I look up to you guys even whenever I bring the case to you. So just imagine how much more so a patient or a client looks up to you. Okay? They don't always have to verbally say it. My wife and I were eating at a steakhouse last night. We go out for steak once every 2 weeks on average. So we were out. One of her clients, it's a mutual client patient. They were on the other side of the restaurant. They didn't even know we were there, but we were watching them. They're a single parent. They work two jobs, and they were busting their butt servicing the patrons in the restaurant. They were running from table to table. They were busting tables. They were hurrying. You could tell they were tired, but they kept going, had a smile on their face. And my wife and I were just saying how much of a privilege it is for that person to honor us and hold us in such high regard that they're willing to come to us, of all the other people in our town, to give their hard-earned money to help them with their physical conditions. It's an honor. So when they come to you, keep that in mind. You're being honored, okay? Direct gossip. Oh gosh. This is one of the things that my wife and I got to watch quite a bit because we share the same clients, or we tell stories of, well, you know what so-and-so did on my table today, or, well, you wouldn't believe, we catch ourselves because we're human. This is one of the things we were laughing at, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, we've got to do better at this." You got to watch direct gossip because when you guys know this, when you gossip about something, you're telling half truth most of the time. The other person's not seeing the whole picture. You may not even see the whole picture. You may not see why the patient or the client came in the condition they are. You may not know why they got in a fight or got drunk and got hurt, and now they woke up with torticollis syndrome, their whole right side they can't turn, and they need to come in and get some brachial plexus stretching or relief because their hand's going up. You may not know the whole thing. So avoid direct gossip altogether. It breaks so many rules, let alone the black and white rules. It breaks so many moral rules as well. Indirect gossiping. I have been in. My wife and I eat out for lunch quite a bit because it's just the two of us. We go get a soup and salad or something light almost every day, and just to get out of the office, change of scenery. And we eat at the local restaurants. You would not believe how many times we've sat at a booth. The person behind us is a healthcare worker, whether it be a nurse, a doctor, a social worker, it doesn't matter. They're in the healthcare of some form. And they're talking about a client so loud because a lot of times restaurants are noisy. They raise their voice, and they're talking about a client to the person across the table, but everyone around can hear them. A couple times it was actually a client that my wife or I knew. So even though it was not done with malicious intent, it still had a malicious, or it could have had, if the wrong people was sitting there next to him, it could have had a bad malicious outcome, okay? So be aware. Just don't talk about your clients. Or if you do want to share something with another professional, don't use names. Don't use anything that's identifying. Fellow colleague massage therapist, I had a client come in and I found that they had a tight piriformis and they had a flat foot on the right, tight piriformis on the right, and pelvic tipping on the right. I'm seeing a lot of this in runners that run on the same side of the street because they run the same direction. I'm going to start looking at running the other direction to counterbalance this so we don't get so off balance. Really? Well, what'd you do? Well, I did this and this and this. You can talk about that. There's no way they're identifying things. And that's perfectly fine in my opinion. But given a name or way they live, or that, I had this patient that went to the Jimmy Buffett concert last night. They live on Elmwood Court. Oh my gosh, they fell off the stage. They were so drunk. Well, hey, other people can put two and two together. You don't have to say a name. So just be aware. All right. Now that's kind of big and bold. Now that we got your attention, we're back on track here. Just say no, my staff put that in. They thought that was funny. So let's talk about a taboo topic that you don't normally talk about. We're going to go out on a limb here because we're all professionals. I think it's something we need to talk about because it's something that happens, especially with my line of work. I am hands-on, just like you guys. You are more hands-on and more closer to that borderline than I am at times. So let's talk about this. What happens when you go beyond the therapist-client relationship? Same thing with the doctor-client relationship. But the NCB-TMB Code of Ethics will state a therapist should refrain under all circumstances from initiating, engaging in any sexual conduct, activities, or sexualizing behavior involving a client, even if the client makes the first attempt toward you. Okay? This means no dating, no socializing with clients that have desire to take things to the more personal level, to the next level. Don't lead them on. You know, one of the massage therapists, and my wife dismissed her from the practice, even though she was always showed up. But she would show up in the tightest things that was very revealing, low cuts, and she was always bantering the eyes at the guys, and you could tell she was flirting with them to get more visits out of them. So don't lead them on, okay? Don't even give them the opportunity to try and advance. Don't even put that out there. Now, if one should develop under mutual consent, say the person on the table and the therapist just have that spark, they're both single, no harm, no foul, they should sever their professional relationship and, according to the NCB-TMB, should not partake in a sexual relationship for 6 months after the severance. Now, I'm giving you the black and white. Sometimes it's kind of hard to wait 6 months if you're falling in love with someone. If you're Twitter-pated with somebody and it's a mutual consent, use your professional judgment in that case. I've been married for 31 years to the same woman, so I haven't ran across that personally to tell you how I would ethically handle that. But you need to sever the relationship if there is something going on. Also need to document the severance, the date of the severance, and no cheating, no backdating 6 months, okay, in the paperwork. Do the ethical thing. Now, the NCB Standards of Practice offers advice and guidelines on this for special cases. That's where you can find them, okay? Look up NCB-TMB and find these, just do a Google search. Now, here's a couple reasons that I found in reading some articles and that I agreed with for an involvement. Number one is a current client who wants to take it to the next level, and you too, and it is a mutual consent. Again, do what we just said to do. Okay, wait 6 months, document, refer them on to someone else if it's a mutual consent. What if it's a current spouse or long-term partner that becomes a client? You know, first of all, let's clear the air here. It is strictly prohibited among all healthcare professions to be sexually involved with a current client. Spouse or long-term relationship, this is where I come into play. This is where my wife and I are laughing. This is where the ethical boundaries may be a little bit more blurred. And thank God I don't have you on video because I'm blushing here. My wife and I, we've been married almost 31 years. She's been working in my clinic with me for the last 15, doing things from ART, PNF, doing stretching, doing modalities, helping me. So she knows a lot. And 3 years ago, she decided to make it official, wanted her own business, and went to massage therapy school. Came out, well, I can't have sexual relationship with my wife? No, I got to be honest with you. So this year's a little blurred, and I'm really blushing now because I'm on the internet, probably going to go live to thousands of people that I don't know. But This is where the ethics come in. There's not clear boundaries in this um, thing that are written, but here's what my wife and I did. We set clear boundaries. Um, Whenever I am getting a massage from my wife, there is no sexual connotations allowed. When I enter the massage room, it is pure professional. I do that out of respect for her and the profession. If it wasn't for that, had be all over. But no, seriously, out of respect for the profession, once I enter that door to the massage studio, it's purely professional. I am a client. I am not Dr. Holly. I lay on the table. I let her do her thing. I don't tell her what to do or what muscle to work or what trigger point to hit. That's her area. I have utmost respect for her. I am a client. Likewise, when she comes into my practice, we do the same thing. It's vice versa. Now, after we go home, we go out to dinner. Hey, that's different. We're husband and wife. Why is that a big deal for us? I mean, we've been married. We're pushing middle age. I mean, we have grandkids. We've been together for 3 decades. Because if you cross that border, even with a spouse, a long-term mate, if you cross that border every time you go in or often, whenever you enter the massage room or you're on the table, then that can put a seed in the back of one or both of the partner's minds that they may not be aware of. So they may be a month from now, say you had sexual relations or an activity with your spouse or your partner during the massage session. No harm, no foul right there. You're not hurting anybody's feelings, but if you do it often enough, you may start associating in the back of your mind subconsciously massage with sexual connotations. That could portray into the therapist thinking of that subconsciously during massages with other clients. It may portray into the spouse or significant other thinking about their partner or spouse working on other opposite gender people and having fears and doubts surface as well. So also, I think, to be honest with you, personally, it's a disrespect for the profession. So um, we just make it a very definitive boundary line there. Okay, so that is what I would advise in that situation. Whew, glad I got through that. I was sweating that one. Now, sexual misconduct, usually defined as any sexualizing, and sexual, I didn't put on here, but this could be sexting, if I said it right. Text messaging over sexting. Any type of sexualizing relationship between a therapist and a current client. It can occur before, during, or after a massage session and can be perpetuated by either the therapist or the client. Actual case scenario. Massage therapist working in the parlor, had her own room with my wife, had her own clientele, independent contractor, broke up with her boyfriend. To my understanding, one thing you'll find out about me, I don't dive too deep, but broke up with her boyfriend, couple months, started liking another person whom was a client, had sexual relationships with this person. Come to find out, the person was married with a child. Ended the sexual relationship. Person went back and confessed to the wife what had happened, wanted to come clean. Wife literally called my clinic, which is separate from the studio, trying to find this particular therapist. Went on our website, basically did a long list of trying to track her down and ruin her, and contacting the massage therapy boards, the licensing boards, the ethics committees, and trying to really tarnish and just ruin it. ruin her professional relationship and ruin her life. So my advice, again, I can't be more clear. No sexual misconduct on either party is advised with a client before, during, or after. Categories of sexual misconduct, a little bit more definitive. Verbal, obvious. You guys know what you mean by this. What I mean by this. Hey, this looks good. Wow, I can't believe you look hot on that lay down. Are you doing squats because your legs are really toned and blah 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 blah. Those are borderline misconduct things. Body language, again, wearing super low cut things, purposefully brushing your body, inappropriate areas of your body with the client, inappropriate touching areas that you shouldn't be doing, direct sexual contact, sexual assault even. Yes, women, you can assault us guys, okay? So any of that is direct categories of sexual misconduct. Keep it clean. When massaging, use only the hands, forearms, elbows, or in some cases, feet, okay? Don't use your head, chest. Why is chest in there or breast? You think that would be a no-no? I have been to events that I actually rode. I actually rode Harley, a Harley Davidson, and there was a biker convention, and I thought it would be cool to go up there on my Harley, and it was all you can imagine a biker convention. There was two massage therapists doing massages with their breasts. They were licensed massage therapists. One of them actually came and applied for a position in our clinic at the time. This was about 8 years ago. So it does happen, okay? Now, sure, she had a line of guys waiting to sit in the massage chair. It was right out in the open, but that's a no-no. So don't use your hair or other parts of your body. Never use your pelvis, the anterior portion, to brace. Use the lateral hip. Sometimes you have to have the client lie on their side. And if you're pushing the way you're pushing, you may need to use your hip, your lateral portion, to brace against. That is okay. I advise letting the client know, say, Mary, I'm going to have you lay on your side. I want your right side up. Now come toward the edge of the table. I'm going to put my hip and point to your hip against your back or your shoulder or whatever, and I'm going to brace you while I work the area. Is that okay? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Same thing if you got to use your thigh or your leg to brace yourself. Never, obviously, this should be a no-brainer. Never massage sexually sensitive areas, even especially if the client asks. Okay, get it. And there's a lot of ways the client can ask, guys. You know about this. Air quotation marks going on here. Full body massage, happy endings, or total release. You guys are aware of a lot of these things. So I'm telling you now, if you're not, get informed consent to work with areas around breast, genital, buttocks, and in the abdomen, okay? Informed voluntary consent, what am I talking about? Inform the client and get confirmation back from the client that they understand the actions or methods that are to be used on the body parts that you're wanting to work on. Also, explain the reasons why you're wanting to do this. Go over with the client what they should be expecting and able to feel. Example, Mary comes in. I hope no one on here is by the name of Mary. That's just an easy one for me to remember. Mary comes in, has a lot of shoulder problems, especially in the rear, subscapular spasms. So you're working the back scapula, the subscapular area, the rhomboids, the teres, and then you have Mary turn on her back, and you notice that her agonist-antagonist relationship is out of whack. The front upper pec muscle is in spasm or really tight, and it's pulling the shoulder anterior, rounding it forward, stretching the muscles on the back, causing them the spasm. Push-pull relationship. As a therapist, and as a physician, it makes perfect sense. You got to address the other area as well. That would be working with the upper pec, the sternal Collidomastoid tie-in areas, and under the subaxillary area, get voluntary consent. Say, Mary, I know you're hurting in the back, but here's what's going on here. The front is pulling. I need to stretch this area and work the trigger points out of this area so so it can loosen up and provide some more range of motion so the back will quit hurting as much and it will hold longer in between treatments. Here's what I want to do, and explain, show, palpate on yourself where you want to work. Tell them what they should feel. 99% of the time, they're going to understand. They can tell if you're being weird or if you're really trying to help them. Now, don't pressure them into making an informed decision because you have that power that you don't know about. You have the magic. Mary, we got to get this thing or this ain't going to work. Here's what we got to do. You want it to work, don't you? You're spending 50, 60 bucks. I don't want to see you tomorrow with more pain. This is what we got to do. You're not letting them make their own decision. You're directing them to a decision. That's a no-no. Now, once you get around to working it, they said, yeah, even before you touch, say, is it okay? I'm going to go ahead and start working now. Touch, start on the outermost portions and work toward the midline where you need to be, okay? Written consent is strongly advised for area involving orifices such as nasal passages for things like septal deviation. The mouth, working the interior, the pterygoid muscles on the TMJ joint. Ear canals, candles, infections, blockages. I know I put anal in there, but it's kind of weird, but a lot of times sacral deviation, sacral tuberous ligament release, a lot of that is done with an internal thing. Now, you're saying to yourself, I don't do those. Great. 9 times out of 10, your state's not going to allow you to do them. If you're in one of those weird states where you're allowed to, you need to have this documented and have them sign a consent after you've gone over everything and let them know. Some cases, it's even better to have a witness outside the room. That's why there's always, whenever the women go into a OBGYN, there's a witness in the room. If I do an exam on a pelvic on a young female, I have my secretary stand outside the door. Well, I don't have a door on my exam when she's in the hall, or I have her come in and pretend she's taking notes. Okay? Just cover yourself. Now, even after an informed consent, patient says, yeah, I know. Go ahead. Be aware of the body language, okay? If you see them flinching up like George is on Seinfeld, you see him flinching up or you see a weird face when you're working on it, back off a little bit. Ask if everything's okay. Say, is this what you didn't expect? Or would you like me to come back to this later? Or would you like me to just hold off? That's okay to have interaction. You need to watch the body language of the patient. Sometimes the patient may not actually verbally tell you that they feel uncomfortable because they don't want to offend you or they don't really know all the parameters. Their body language may tell the whole story. So if you see this, stop. Be professional. Some of the reasons to get up close and personal. We had a sprinter come in that was going over the hurdles, and they pulled a deep groin combo hamstring muscle. Well, you guys know where these things insert. We worked the belly of the muscle. We worked the quads, did some stretching. Didn't help. It wasn't releasing. So we showed the person on a poster, the diagram, where the muscle is. And we palpated on I palpated on myself where the insertion is, pointed to the map. Patient understood. And you tell them, in order to get to the insertion of the muscle, here's where I have to go. Are you comfortable with this? Educate them, let them make their own decisions. And if they say, I'm really not, don't take it personal. Not a problem. You work around the situation. Pelvic torsion syndrome. Person has a flat foot, pes planus. The side on that flat foot, the pelvic will tilt forward, anterior. That's going to stretch out the psoas, stretch the quadratus lumborum. You know psoas muscle, it's a painful one to get deep down inside, okay? A lot of times you're going to be working in some areas, even in the sacral borders on the stretch piriformis even. Got to let them know. Working with pec muscles like we just talked about. Usually situations like these will fall into the category of informed voluntary consent. Back to the previous slide where we talked about that, okay? This is where you have the power. Authoritative, you're the authority, you're the head figure. Authoritative intervention. If an incident occurs, incident meaning anything that makes you uncomfortable or the client uncomfortable, immediately stop what you're doing, step back and assess the situation. Do a gut check. Do you feel threatened? Do you feel uncomfortable? Honestly, look, was it an accident, such as the client's hand touching your thigh when they turned over or if they fell asleep? I've been on there after a long day's work on a table, had my arms up by my head, and I guess I fell asleep. My arm fell down and I hit the therapist's leg. Woke myself up, scared the hell out of me, to be honest with you. I thought I was falling off the table, but it was an accident. She knew it, I knew it. No harm, no foul, and I apologized. Now, if the incident was inappropriate, like they brushed your inner thigh when you walked by them, if they did it more than once, stop, back up, describe the behavior or incident that caused harm or caused alarm, excuse me, if it's warranted to bring it up. If the client is aware and it wasn't intentional, then you need to ask for clarification. What the hell were you thinking? Don't be professional. Ask for clarification. If you're uncomfortable with the clarification you're given, hey, one of two things. First of all, you can reinstate your intent, sessions or boundaries. This is when the finger comes up and you're saying, "Oh no, you didn't," and you can stop the care right immediately. Dismiss the client altogether, or if after the clarification you felt comfortable working and you see it was a mistake and it won't happen again, and you want to continue, that's your call. You're the professional here. Use your gut. Especially your women, don't lose touch with the women's intuition. Side note, if you're working by yourself in a hotel or private room, their house or business, always assess the area before you go in. Excuse me. Have an escape route planned. Also, let someone know where you'll be and how long the session's going to last. Make sure you check in with them. I seen this posted. Make a fake call when you go into the room, or you walk in the office, or the client comes into your office after hours. It's you and them, especially if it's an opposite sex. Make a call, a fake call, to an answering machine. Say, "Hi, Bob. Yep, this is Josie. I'm going to be 45 minutes with my client. We're going to go in about 2 minutes. And yes, I'm going to call you the minute I walk out while they're getting dressed. When I walk out of the room, I'll call you and let you know I'm done and I'm on the way home, and you can expect me in 15 minutes. Do that right in front of them. That way they know, hey, man, this person here, there's someone that's watching out for them, okay? It sets the tone that you're not looking for any hanky-panky, that you kind of know what you're doing, you're aware of your surroundings, and people are watching you, okay? I forgot I added this one. I thought I took it out. All right. Turning red in the face again, guys. Again, I'm pushing middle age, so I'm not hip with all the fashions out there. A few years ago, these style of pants came out, and it was really, I guess they're still popular with the women. So this particular woman came into our office, and I have what's called an open adjusting area. So I'm not adjusting behind closed doors, thank heavens. That's semi-private. I have half walls in between my table. So the woman is laying down on my table. She's laying prone. She's laying on her stomach. She has low back problems. Then I'll tell her, "Mary, as you're laying here, I always say I'm going to do a demographic feel. I want to kind of feel for muscle tone. I'm not going to palpate direct. I'm going to feel your shoulders, your hips. I'm going to look for cross patterns, and I'm just going to palpate." Before I do any of that, I was raised to be polite. that you grab the shirt, not grab, but you take the shirt and you pull the shirt down over the woman's buttocks, over their hips. That reinforces them that you're aware of their privacy, you respect their privacy, and you want to let them know that things are covered up. Great. Woman lays down. She's a fairly attractive woman in her mid-30s, very athletic, has on these kind of pants. I have never seen these kind of pants before that have one color at the bottom, another color at the top. Same thing in both of these. I picked the camouflage because it was in hunting season. She's an outdoors woman. She had these camouflage pants on, had a camouflage or a green shirt on that matched the top of the pants. She was laying on her stomach. I did my normal thing, told her what I was going to do. I grabbed the color thing because it was rolled under. I grabbed it thinking it was the sweatshirt, and I pulled downward. It was a little tight, so I gave a little extra tug. Well, needless to say, we mooned the whole practice, and it was the patient's first time ever to a chiropractor. Luckily, she had a great sense of humor, was very confident about herself. She seen that I was very stunned. It was not on purpose, and I was like 3 shades of red. I immediately, obviously, pulled the pants up, stepped back, and I remember it well without missing a beat. I said, well, Mary, that's out of the way. It doesn't look like there's any nerve impingement there. Let's look at the upper back and neck. And we started laughing about it. And her and I have become, it's been 2 years now. She's been coming once a month, every 2 weeks, ever since. And we still joke about that. Thank heavens that was in that situation where it was the right person that the wrong thing happened to. I still get a little teary-eyed because laughing at it, but it could have went south well, literally. It could have went bad real quick. That was very lucky that it was just the right things lined up. It taught me a good lesson. First, always be aware of the surroundings, i.e. clothing that women have on, high heels, underwear, no underwear, if they have whatever they have. So now I've always checked this situation. So what happens? What do you do if something like this happens and you really didn't intend and they know you didn't? You obviously stop immediately. If they're exposed, you immediately cover them up. Step back, apologize, tell them why you did what you did, tell them what happened, and document it. Okay? I documented what happened. The staff was there. They knew what happened. No one else seen the incident. It was just me and her. And that's the best way to handle that because things will happen. We are human. We will make mistakes from time to time. Okay? Things just happen. Okay? Now, what do you do when clients see you out? Again, I'm flushed red again. Thank God I don't have the video phone on. What do you do when clients see you outside of the practice? I go to the gym a lot, so I put this in there. Here's something. Bob, the therapist, is getting his daily workout when a client and her spouse approach. What do you do? What would you do if this happened to you and you're in your gym or aerobics? Well, aerobics class you can't really talk, but what happens if you're in the gym, supermarket, outside of your office? First of all, assess if it's a meet and greet or they want advice. If it's just a meet and greet, to be honest with you, no harm, no foul, in my opinion. Hi, Susie therapist. This is Bob, my husband. I wanted him to meet you and just say hi. Well, hi, Bob. How are you doing? Hey, great meeting you. Welcome to the gym. All right, see you later. No harm, no foul. Hi, Susie therapist. This is Bob, my husband. Bob's been having a lot of low back pain that's starting to go down his left buttocks to his upper ham. You think that's anything you can help with? Well, I don't know. You could stop. Here's where you need to stop it. You need to say, you know what? That's a great question. I don't know. Let's go on in. Call me on Monday, or I'll call you, and we'll get an appointment set. We'll do an assessment. Stop it right there. Turn it back into a meet and greet. If they want advice, want to do things, say, guys, I got to be honest with you. I'm out of my element here. I normally don't do assessments or advice or treatment protocols outside of the thing. I'm not covered to do it, and I'm uncomfortable doing it. I'll be more than happy to. I'll make a special time for you to come in. Susie, bring Bob in with you next time. You can see my office. So kind of there's no set rules. There's some ethical guidelines on doing this. That's my gut take on this and how I've handled it in the past. Here's a scenario. Mary, again, Mary, Mary's therapist has a very busy day. She has 5 clients, and one of them is a new one referred by me. Problem is, Mary woke up with the beginnings of flu, chills, fever, aches, but she can still go in. Takes her Alka-Seltzer, plop, plop, fizz, fizz, cold and sinus, and she can suppress the symptoms and still go in. You know what? At $60 a session plus tips, that could be a nice payday for her. After all, rent, car payment, electric bills, they're all due tomorrow. What would you guys do? Should Mary call to reschedule her clients? Should she suck it up, don't say anything, go on in? Remember the first rule, do no harm, do what's best for the client. I had a situation like this with me. I had some patients in the afternoon. It was on a Friday. The majority of my canceled because I was coming down with the flu symptoms. Another patient was in an auto accident that morning. They wanted to get in the worst way. They were an existing client. I told them that I had the flu and I was canceling my patients. They wanted to know if there's any way that I could come in and give them an adjustment so they didn't have to suffer over the weekend. In that situation, I made a judgment call. I informed them of the flu, told them that the risk versus reward, and we both thought that it would be best if I gave them adjustments so they wouldn't suffer or regress over the weekend. That one client, I came in and I gave him an adjustment. Again, I sterilized the hell out of myself. I Lysoled the table before and after. I actually wore gloves. So I tried to minimize cross-contamination the best I can. Gave him a treatment, and then we left. 99.99% of the time, unless there's something out in left field, like this one individual thing, I advise rescheduling, okay? Just because you don't want to do harm to the clients. I'm a firm believer what comes around goes around. Even though things are due the next day and you have a good chance to make some good money, if you do the right thing, the money will come from someplace else. The bill will get put off, you can get an extension, something will happen. Make sure, and I believe that these are little tests that are put in front of us to see our ethics and our standards. Don't waver from your true self. What about you under the influence? What if you go out on a Friday night and you have a nice time out and you got clients Saturday morning? Mary has, we're beating up on Mary here, guys. Mary has seasonal allergies. She has taken an antihistamine to help combat the symptoms. However, it's made her feel groggy and not thinking clear. She has 3 clients back to back that have been on the books and are very good paying ones. What do you think she should do? What about Bobby? Went to a bachelorette party last night. Had a few too many. That's Bobby looking over, praying to King Ralph of the throne there. She's now dehydrated, groggy, and to be honest, probably is still a bit buzzed. Bobby has a client coming in the morning. Should she massage? The answer is, in both cases is no. In my professional opinion, and the 90% of the opinions of the others. Things like this, you are not at your best. That goes back to the rules and the guidelines that you must be at your 100% best and give your best, strive to give your best for the client. When you are in any kind of these conditions, you are in no position to do that. So, it is best, first of all, to be responsible, know consequences versus actions, and don't do it. Secondly, if you do it, you need to call and reschedule the clients. That's the right thing to do because you will not be able to give your best to the clients. What if a client is under influence? What if they go out and they drink the night before, morning of, they smell like a brewery and they're still got a lot of alcohol in their system, and their body and liver is trying to detox it, and they smell like a brewery, they're coming in and you're still got alcohol. What if the person had a few drinks to relax them because they're nervous about a massage and they want to come in? Heard stories of people on Valentine's Day giving champagne and alcohol or wine before the massage. Okay? Many reasons that you shouldn't be doing this. First of all, alcohol is dehydrating. Body wants to get rid of it quickly. Okay? Works hard to get it through the kidneys. Can't be massaging people with alcohol in them. Alcohol also impairs the ability to give appropriate feedback. You're doing a deep tissue or a stretch. You're doing medical massage on a person. You need to get some feedback on this person. Their Golgi spindle fibers are not registering properly. You could be tearing some things or doing more harm than good. Also impairs judgment. Do you think that they can give you properly informed consent? Think that they can know what they're signing? Okay? No. Combining massage and alcohol only increases the toxic load on the body. The body already has a lot of toxins in it from the alcohol. The liver is working its best to get it all flushed and detox and down to the kidneys for filtering out. You start working on chronic tightness muscles, you're releasing all the interstitial fluid and all the intercellular fluid, the toxins that are entrapped into the stream in combination with the alcohol. You're double loading, you're overloading the system. Okay? No, no, no. Rules and regs, put it in the P&P manual. This needs to be written down. This is in the P&P, Policy and Procedure Manual. Under no circumstances will a person under the influence of alcohol be allowed to receive a massage. It is up to the discretion of the massage therapist to determine what is termed under influence. That is in our P&P manual. That P&P manual, by the way, is actually a sheet that is in the lobby, that is in plain sight, and that the patient signs before treatment is given, that they've read the policy and procedures. What about prescriptions of care and diagnosing? Can you guys prescribe anti-inflammatory or other medicinal items? No. But what about prescribing vitamins? What about home exercises? MS conditions, musculoskeletal conditions. Treatment plans, even drinking water. Can you guys prescribe this? The answer is yes and no on some of this. Let me tell you my opinion and some of the guidelines for this. Prescribing vitamins, if you're not properly trained about prescribing vitamins, then you don't need to be telling the client what they should and what they shouldn't take. You're telling them what they should and shouldn't take with vitamins because the vitamin you're prescribing is geared to help a certain condition. In order to identify a certain condition, you will have to have made a diagnosis of the system to come up with a condition. Hence, you are diagnosing. Hence, you're not supposed to be diagnosing. Okay? Is it out of the realm to say, you know what? You're probably needing some vitamin C or some other things. I've heard that these work well. You know what? Do some Google search or go to this doctor on vitamin C. See what you think on that. Do some research. You can steer them in the right direction. Home exercises, that could be with the rotator cuff syndrome we talked about earlier, going to the gym, rotator cuff surgery. Is it okay to work with a muscle and say, you know what, Mary, over the next few days, I want you to kind of stretch your cervical. Here's how I want you to do it. That'll help you when I see you on Friday. I don't see that being wrong because you are not diagnosing a condition of the cervical. You found a muscle that's tight, you stretched it, and you did some cross fiber work, and you want Mary to do some stuff at home. It's okay to show some stretches, in my opinion. diagnosing musculoskeletal conditions. What I mean by that is, yes, you have torticollis syndrome that is trapping the brachial plexus, leading to a radiculopathy into the first two digits of your finger. That's a full diagnosis right there. Or you have a peripheral entrapment syndrome causing of the piriformis causing sciatic pain. Don't label the conditions. Don't name the conditions, even though you know damn well what it is. Probably know better than most doctors. Don't cross over that line. You can say, you know, Mary, you got a tight muscle here. I'm going to try to work this out. Could this be entrapping? Yeah, probably could. For a definitive diagnosis of this, you need to go see Dr. Hawley or another doctor, or do some Google searches to, you know, get you informed on this. Or here's a pamphlet that talks about piriformis syndrome. Yeah, I don't know if this is what you have, but your piriformis is tight and you have some of the symptoms. Here's a pamphlet describing it. Okay, treatment care plans. I think that's perfectly acceptable. Person with a repetitive stress syndrome of low back comes in, you're wanting to treat them. Hey, you're not going to do one 30-minute massage and cure their life, right? It's okay, Bob. I'm going to have you here. Instead of doing 2 60 minutes, I want you 4 30 minutes over the next 2 weeks. We're going to work on the low back muscle. You can do that, in my opinion. Actually, Jody and the girls do it quite often. Drinking water, I think that's a no-brainer. I think the massage therapists hand bottle water after every massage to the clients. They say, you know, we flushed out the toxins, here's some water, keep hydrated, complimentary bottle. By the way, new rule of thumb out there now, they've found that 6 to 8 glasses of water a day is not adequate. That is classifying a one-size-fits-all. The new rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces of water per day, especially if you're losing weight, getting regular massages, or working in the heat, or exercising. Half your body weight in ounces. Again, be careful about suggestions, even though you're not diagnosing. Here's what I was talking about here. A therapist who was a workout buff, had no formal training, as a certified trainer, gave his client some advices on lifting weights and how to build his shoulder muscle up. Client took his advice, went into the gym. Come to find out, it was an undiagnosed rotator cuff injury, partial labial tear of the supraspinatus, and was immediately sent to surgery after working out, per the advice of the therapist. No. Therapist advised a client who was seeing a physical therapist for low back pain that they should, you should give massage therapy a try. It's less invasive. You probably get good results. Client called and canceled her next PT appointment and explained the reason. Say, I met Sally. She's a massage therapist. Said I should try her for the back pain. PT took legal actions against the therapist for practicing medicine without a license. Be careful what you suggest. Patients don't know suggestion from diagnosing. Excuse me. HIPAA. Before I get it, well, I'll tell you what it is. The Health Insurance Portability Act, 96, requires healthcare workers to inform clients about their rights and inform consent in how their clinical and personal information will be used. Providers, you guys, must get written consent to contact insurance providers and or other parties that have records or information regarding clients' care. Also, patients have the right to see or obtain copies of the records. This is why you should be taking soap notes every visit. Why is it important why would they want to get a copy of their records? What if they're moving? What if they want a copy of your notes of what you've been doing, especially if, say, it's a structure case. You're working on biomechanical structure. Helping Dr. Hawley correct the patient with scoliosis, you're working the muscle system and helping me. Great, I have my notes. You have your notes of what you did and what you found. Client gets a new job offer, they move out of state. They're going to want to bring my records and your records with them. Those records need to be kept secure, private, and out of the reach of the general populace. Again, note, not all massage offices will fall under the guidelines of HIPAA. You're not responsible for maintaining HIPAA compliancy. Check with your state governing board. Rule of thumb, HIPAA provides good practical guidelines for client protection and confidentiality. My wife does not have to do anything with HIPAA, but she goes by the guidelines in her studio just because they're good guidelines to go by. Informed consent, authorization to treat. This here's something, basically, you know what informed consent is. Tell the patient what you want to do, why you want to do it, how you're going to do it, what they're going to feel. And you also have them sign that they understand they're giving you permission to treat them. This is documented. I don't adjust or treat anybody, not even put them on a hot pack in my clinic until they sign the authorization to treat form and HIPAA because we do insurance. My wife did one on her own. There's a ton of them on the net. You can Google and pick one or build your own. My wife has every client. She'll go over the informed consent and authorization to treat and have it signed and put in the patient's chart or scanned and put it electronically. Don't confuse this with P&P manuals. What is a P&P manual? Placed visibly in the office. Give the client a copy before starting the initial session. In my wife's studio, she has the patient's intake form. What's wrong, where you live, how long it began, what's your address, phone number. Then a copy of her guidelines, the P&P guidelines, that place for them to initial and sign with date, and the authorization to treat in HIPAA. She has 3 or 4 pages that they need to just sign. You want to have a written policy regarding missed appointments. Missed appointments, no call, no show. Do you charge? Do you not charge? Either way, it's okay. It's up to you. How much notice do you need? That needs to be in so there's no confusion up front. Payments. Do you want payment before they get on the table? After they get on the table? Do you give the patient a super bill so they can submit it to their insurance? Number of things. That needs to be in the manual, how you want it. Dismissal due to behavior. Put it in the P&P manual. If you're inebriated, intoxicated, smell of alcohol, rude, whatever, you will be dismissed at the discretion of the therapist. We have that right to refuse service to anybody. Put it in there. Hours of operation. Cell phone. I have things in my manual. You are not allowed to use the cell phone in the clinic. Bring it with you. Turn it on silence. If it's an emergency, tell them to call the office. Late appointments. You have a patient scheduled for an hour appointment. They're 15 minutes late. Do you go over 15 minutes or do you only massage for 45 and charge the same hour fee? Your call, your business guidelines and ethics, but that needs to be in there, okay? Tips. Do you accept them? Is it ethical or not? This is one of those things that's kind of up to you. I see no wrong in getting tips for massage or services you do. I do see wrong in soliciting for tips or asking for tips or putting a tip jar right in the middle where people can see it and it's a optical nonverbal cue that they need to be tipping. Okay? Your call on this. Now, a good rule of thumb, key to maintaining good ethics is to hold your client's well-being above your own personal gain. That's just the golden rule of thumb. And remember the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. If you can keep those two in check, everything else should fall into place. If not, we have some guidelines that you've just seen here on how to handle and where to go to get some answers. I think that is it. So here we are. We've been recording. It's going to be sent out. Recording will be sent out tomorrow. I'm going to try to get it today. If not, bear with me. Like I said, based on the internet, how fast I can get it done. Certificates, I'm going to mail out a test along with the recordings. If you want a certificate, get the test back to me with the answers, with how you want your name and all credentials. Okay? Questions? Shoot me questions. Email clubinfo, info@clublnt.com. What it says there. Email me some questions. It doesn't have to be today. It could be next week even. I don't mind answering, and I'll do the best I can. Again, it's always a pleasure to work with you guys. I love the Massage Therapy Group. You guys are a fun bunch. Take care. It's Friday. Have a great weekend. God bless, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.